fructifying also, because some people may come with certain idea or something like that. Some people may suggest maybe we should abolish this hat and put maybe a Yemeni imam like a bin Laden. Maybe all these things we will have to look at. They have their own flavor.
Stream started, inshallah. Okay, so I'm everyone. Welcome to our channel. The date is the 12th of April, 2026. We are doing our monthly Q&A session. We're on the 28th session. Format will be open Q&A, and we always put preference on people who join over Zoom and ask directly. And in addition to Q&A, at about 4 o'clock-ish, we'll do our Palestine update, and Palestine update will stop the live stream and kick over into, that'll eventually be uploaded to Rumble. Before we start everything, just a quick roundup of the channel itself. So this week and last week, we have had a number of videos that are uploaded from the previous channel, and on the subject of allying with non-Muslims, allying with kuffar, and rulership, and why we think it's incredibly important. And alhamdulillah, I mean, look, our channel before, we got to nearly 9,000 subscribers, and it was taken down purely because of our support for Palestine. That was used as a pretext to take us down. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we don't get our reward based on results. It's around the effort. So alhamdulillah, the people put the effort in, and the message we got out as far as we did at that time. And it doesn't matter if tomorrow they take this channel down, it'll be another one. And if tomorrow anything happens, anything that they throw at us, it will come to nothing. And this is the important message for us, which is we do not get judged on the outcomes, it's on the effort. And also to recognize that the most vile of people have their moment in the sunlight and their ascendancy. So the most vile Zionists, you know for certainty what's been happening in Palestine. You know, but what you don't know is that it's been happening for 80 years, or you didn't appreciate how vile these Zionist wretches are, and you didn't realize how deep their tentacles went into every kind of institution, and how they use their Hasbra to circumvent the narrative. And right now, for example, with their rhetoric against Iran, every single accusation they put on them comes 100 times back on them. I was watching a Norman Finkelstein video yesterday where he says it's unprecedented since that League of Nations, since the UN, anything where they have had this level of treachery on another country, where they wipe out their delegations twice. It's unbelievable how brazen they are. But again, it shows you that the odds are stacked against people on an international level, and you see it in your day-to-day affairs. Like, for example, this NHS doctor, I forgot her name, Radwan, she's been arrested 5 times for her support for Palestine. Complete double standards. Whereas somebody can go murder babies with, with a scope and sniper children, and a Perlmutter and all these various physicians who came back from Palestine testified to placement of bullets. You know how you want to execute someone, use a double tap or various double taps to their head for toddlers. A person who could be a GP or a doctor embedded with the IDF with dual nationality can come back into the UK and serve patients, and there's not even a single peep about that. Whereas somebody can send a single tweet in support of Palestine, they can be ostracized. So all this double standards that come to light, and then you scale out onto the international arena, where you see the treachery of the UAE. I can't even express how treacherous and redundant, how degenerate that regime is, and how much of a scumbag you have to be, a disgusting, despicable, ignoble scumbag you have to be to gloss over what the UAE does and then fixate on somebody else. How much blood money, if they're paying, imagine they're paying you, how content are you to receive blood money from the regime that when they had this altercation with Iran, their response was to support the Zionists more? When Gaza was happening, their response was to give rest and recuperation to the IDF. When you see Muslims being attacked, so for example, there's footage of a Muslim sister in hijab being run over, and then not a peep about that since. The kind of rhetoric that was fueling that Islamophobia in the West was sponsored by the UAE. If you can see all of this, And then you are conspicuously silent about all of this. And then you choose now, when the Ummah is focused on Palestine and the liberation of Palestine, and though we recognize the faults of Iran, we recognize, but we're not glossed over a single thing about them. The professor has multiple times called Pezeshkian retarded. So it's, despite of whatever happened right now, Tel Aviv, Israel's destruction is close, but they're conspicuously silent about the ones who bankrolled not one, two genocides: Sudan and Palestine, Gaza. They have been complicit, explicit on those, and they make sectarianism the issue now. Do you think the UAE, when they bankrolled Islamophobes, care about the Aqidah? Do you think the Aqidah of MBZ, when he's MBS, when he's opening all these lewd activities, or when he's poised to sign the Abraham Accords, gives a damn about Aqidah? The only Aqidah they follow is Aqidah throniya. They only care about their throne. So your conspicuous silence at this moment in time speaks volumes. And there will not be a single rock you can hide under. There will not be an argument that you can seek succor in. You will be exposed. And this will be the platform that does it. And it will not be superficial. It's not going to be a superficial flesh wound that you can walk away from. It will be a double tap. Because we go to the Kitab and the Sunnah. We go to the evidences that you suppress, the evidences that you hide, the evidences that you seek to twist. You are done. The underdog will have its day. You are done. You just haven't received the memo. You know, if someone is decapitated, and then it takes time for the blood to leave and there's spasms. You're in spasming right now. You are done. You will be done. Your regimes will crumble. And you will be the laughingstock when the Ummah realizes that you threw your lot in with the scumbags of this world. The ones who are front and center on the Epstein list. The ones who want to talk about morality when they're pimping their own sisters out to Epstein, like that UAE degenerate tramp. So, anyways, back to the daily proceedings. Question and answer, followed by Palestine update. So anyone who wants to unmute or ask a question directly, try to keep it on topic. It's a broad-ranging topic, but try to be as succinct as you can. And if there's any evidences that you refer to, try to bring them and the isnad, or at least give us an opportunity to find them for you. Okay, so anyone wants to unmute, feel free. Just raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll go to former questions. One's just come in earlier. I'll ask that first. Okay, sunnah, fard, and wajib. What are the meaning of these? Are they covered in Kitab al-Tawheed, which is the person started to read? For example, a lot of people make statements that, like, this is sunnah, i.e. getting married is sunnah. Jummah prayer is wajib. I would like to know what these terms mean and how acts are classified into these categories. Basically, the distinction in various schools around sunnah, wajib, and also fard in this.
My goodness. Brothers, just continue reading this book of Tawheed. This is so basic. Even the book of Tawheed does not address them indirectly even. Regardless, that's so basic. It's unbelievable. But what can I say? Just continue reading the book of Tawheed. Just continue.
So I mean,
chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Just to summarize, I mean, sunnah is as a category.
No, the word sunnah has very, very different meanings. Leave sunnah, so let's be wajib. Wajib means obligatory. Now, actions are evaluated on the following scale. The actions according to Sharia, according to the judgment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are actions which are, if you do them, you are worthy of praise and acceptance by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you leave them, you are worthy or liable of punishment. Not you will be punished. Sometimes they find you will be punished. No, you are worthy of punishment because Allah is at liberty not to punish you. But you are worthy of punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the maximum you can get. You get a reward if you do it. And if you forsake it, you are liable of punishment. Normally you will get punishment. Okay, that's wajib. And Hanafi madhab make a difference between wajib and fard based on something which has a significance, but I think it should not be done in usul fiqh. They say if we reserve the word fard for if it is well established with certitude. It's not a matter of dispute or is not based on. It's established with evidences establishing this wajib or the duty beyond any possible doubt. While wajib is enough to have it through one or two ahadith ahad. Some other scholar could say, no, I'm not convinced that's well established. That's it. I think this distinction does not address the essential nature of wajib and fard. It should not be forced. It should be forsaken. I think the Hanafi distinction is not a good one. Should not be. It relates to the issue: is this obligation? Is this established in such a way that is that you will be unsafe Yawm al-Qiyamah if you question about it or not? And Yawm al-Qiyamah will be asked about things which are established in according to your research, beyond reasonable doubt. Beyond reasonable doubt. Not necessarily beyond any possible doubt. Beyond reasonable doubt is enough because human life, courts, and so on work with even criminal cases beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, that's it. But it's a technicality of how things are well established, which certitude level human can achieve. So should not be interfered with the issue of wajib and fard. So let's say wajib and fard are the same essentially. Then the lower after that is something which you, if do it, an action, you are worthy of praise and expect a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you don't do it, you are not blamed. That's desirable. That's what's called desirable. So another name, mustahab, desirable, preferred. And then we have plain mubah, plain. You can do it, you can leave it, nothing, no blame here, no punishment here. Fully well balanced. Then we have makruh, undesirable. Thus, when you leave it, an action is said to is makruh, don't do that. It comes from don't do that. Is that if you leave it, if you comply with the don't, you are worthy of reward and so on. But if you don't comply, you are not liable of a punishment. And then the haram, prohibited. It is the opposite of wajib. If you say this haram, like zina, fornication, if you do it, you are liable of punishment. And if you leave it, you're getting reward. You avoid it, you're getting reward. But if you do it, you should expect punishment, which may come, may not come at Allah's liberty. That's his ultimate sovereignty. So that's the 5 levels of action in scaling by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's these things. And there are other rulings related, things connected to each other, like something be the cause for something else and so on. This is called preset Sharia rulings. We don't need to go into that. Just fix on these men. Now the word sunnah. That's the word sunnah. These are all usuli istilah. But also the Quran used, for example, for wajib and fard, similar words. Use also kitab. Kitab Allah alaykum, obligatory is written on you. The word written on you could mean something like that, like obligation and things like that. But it's clear from the context. So the various Quranic terms used for that. That's one. Now the word sunnah, first of all, sunnah meaning the repeated happy. The system, for example, when it says, if they have expelled you from their city, or if they expel a messenger from his city by force, then the city who expelled the messenger will be destroyed. That's a sunnatullah. This is the habit or the well-established system in the universe which Allah enacted about the foundation of the world. If any city expelled my messenger by force, I'm going to destroy that city. That's the reason many messengers immigrated on their own, like Muhammad salam, and yes, they made his life miserable, initiating the condition for immigration, but they didn't force him to take him to the border and throw him out. They did not do that. He went by himself. So Mecca was not destroyed. The same with Ibrahim. He immigrated on his own. They did not take him to the border and say, get lost. That did not happen. Otherwise, his original country would have been destroyed. So this is sunnah, sunnatullah, the habit of Allah, how it works in that. Another example that Allah says, in Allah Allah will not change the affair of the people until they change themselves. Meaning, I have given people, single persons, groups, etc., sufficient free will and capability to make their own destiny. I am not going to change their destiny until they start the process of changing. Don't expect that. He will not do that. How much you supplicate, don't waste your supplication. Do the first steps to change your affairs. Do make the conclusion that you will change, and look what are tools available in the Sharia and in the universe to do that, etc. That's sunnatullah, sunnah. That's the word sunnah. Now, when we come to the Messenger of Allah, we have the word sunnah. There is a conventional definition when we say Quran and Sunnah. We have to follow Quran and Sunnah, nothing else. That's the foundation of Islam. This Sunnah meaning, we have to scrutinize what can be Sunnah, which is obligatory to follow from the Messenger of Allah. And then in the third chapter, we scrutinize that and we find this is the utterances of Prophet ﷺ, related things from Allah, or in such a wording that it is impossible to regard it as his own point of view. That's because of the infallibility. But because he's a messenger, and the Quran says clearly, every messenger we did not send any messenger except that he must be obeyed by the permission of Allah. Allah to order you to obey a messenger. What does this mean? Is the messenger suddenly becoming Allah? No, it's not possible. We know that by necessity of reason. The messenger is another entity. Allah is the necessary existing eternal. The messenger is a created being. So what's meaning? Who obey the messenger, obey Allah. Meaning, I guarantee to you that the commands, do this, don't do this, of the messenger are my command. That's me. Take it as it is, as if it's coming from me. That's it. So his commands and prohibitions. Yeah. And then his settings and so on. Approval. That's Sunnah. Then my question about minor issue, like if you say hamamtu, I almost did that, but I retreated. Is that part of the Sunnah? Is that we are obliged to follow? No, we have analyzed the book of Tawheed. No, this comes from the human nature, etc. That's the details of the Sunnah. That's the conventional meaning of saying we have to follow Quran and Sunnah, and whatever Quran and Sunnah indicate that must be followed and established with substitute from there. That's the other meaning of Sunnah. Third one of meaning of Sunnah is that what say it is nafila. Actually, for example, praying 2 rak'ahs after dhuhr or 4 rak'ahs is Sunnah. The Prophet used to do that repeatedly and encouraging to do it. But it's not obligatory, meaning it's something desirable. Desirable in such a way that Messenger was doing it frequently without making obligatory, for example. Sunnah al-Fajr, the 2 rak'ahs of Fajr. This, by the way, it is a Sunnah. You can leave it all your life without being blamed. But it is established with certitude. If one denies that this is desirable to do the 2 rak'ahs of Fajr before Salat al-Fajr, if he denies that, he becomes a kafir. Because so well established with certitude, beyond any possible doubt. Nevertheless, it's only a Sunnah. That's another term, the word Sunnah. The meaning of Sunnah. So, when the Prophet said, the one who deviates from my Sunnah, in some hadith, various hadith, I mentioned 2 of them. One is the hadith said, originally, when the first Ramadan came, there's something great is coming, etc. Umar would say, was terrified. Is an enemy about to attack? We say something huge is coming. Say, no enemy is attacking and so on. A great month is coming, the first Ramadan. Who did fast and pray at night and so on, etc., will be, at the end of it, forgiven his previous sins. It will erase everything before. Later on, when Abu Hurairah became a Muslim, Abu Hurairah embraced Islam and arrived actually at Medina, then together with Ja'far coming back from Abyssinia to Khaybar. That's the beginning of was it 6th year? I think it's the beginning of 6th year of the Ahzab, when they arrived there, or the 7th year. I will remember it. It's not a problem. He joined them. Abu Hurairah reported that the messenger will say, the Ramadan to Ramadan, and Jum'ah to Jum'ah, and Salah to Salah, they erase the sins between them. So if you pray Dhuhr and Asr, between Dhuhr and Asr, you may commit minor sins. You look at a woman with the way you should not have looked. You use the nasty word you should not have used. These are minor sins. The moment you pray Asr, this is washed away. So you are complete, the process of cleaning ongoing. So he said, Ramadan to Ramadan, Jum'ah to Jum'ah, etc. This to this, erases all sins with exception of 3. So what I said, I stood up. Something new has come, because what he heard from the Sahaba before, everything is erased. Now something new has come. Now qualification. Why is clarifying something new? Except from 3. And she said, except from shirk billah, if you commit shirk, that will not be wiped the 2nd Ramadan. You have to do repentance physically for shirk. It's going to be automatically. Secondly, nakth al-safqa, breaking the covenant, or breaking the deal. That's the word used specifically. And thirdly, tark al-sunnah, leaving the sunnah. The people ask him, Messenger of Allah, shirk billah, we know what shirk. We don't need to explain that. We know that shirk is. But what is نقص الصفقة? Say نقص الصفقة, breaking the deal, that you give bay'ah to a man with your hand, shake hand with him. Obviously, metaphorically, don't know bay'ah can be given also by election and so on. But there's a fine points. Even if you do it by shaking hand, and then you turn against him and pull your sword and fight him with your sword. So you have broken this covenant of bay'ah. Obviously, from the other evidences, you know, if he himself have broken or committed kufr or something, that he's worthy of fighting. That's not naqs al-safqa, because he broke it. But the one who gave bay'ah did not do anything worthy of breaking, and you turn back saying, no, I should have been in power myself. He is not worthy. I am superior to him. That's not an excuse. You cannot just go back and fight him with your sword. That's naqs al-safqa. Tark al-sunnah, say, what's tark al-sunnah? Say, leaving the community. That's become a khawariji. You pull yourself, it's worse than naqs al-safqa. You pull yourself, usually it's connected to naqs al-safqa, but it is, you refuse to be in the community. For example, what Muawiyah did when he rejected to give bay'ah to Ali, when the people came to take the bay'ah of people of Sham, he forced them to back. No, we're not going to give bay'ah. Whatever excuse he had is not relevant. He took himself and the people around him who followed him out of the community. He became outside. He became Khawariji. So he's the first Khawariji, by the way, not the one after the Hakim and so on. So he's a Khariji. He's worse than a Khariji. Tark Sunnah. So Sunnah, he means being together with the community, not get out of the community, not get out of the community and accuse the rest of being kafir or pull the sword against them. So these are the three excluded. And then other hadith, unless the major sin are not committed, that's all had to be taken together and analyzed further. Another hadith, the Messenger said, 6 I have cursed and Allah cursed them, and every prophet in time, history and the future will curse them. And he mentioned various categories. One of them is that al-mukaththib bi qadrillah, the one who rejects qadar. With the appropriate definition of qadar, not what the Jabari thinks about it. And he mentioned وَالتَّارِكِ لِسُنَّتِ. What sunnah he means here, from the context, meaning the shura. And leaving the community also. So it's not sunnah meaning leave Salat al-Fajr or the 2 rak'ahs after dhuhr. No, that's what I'm meaning there. And the one who takes the fay, take the income of the state for himself instead of being redistributed to the appropriate channels of it. Because what's collected from the state, zakah, kharaj, booty, is for the public treasury, and nobody in charge and the power should take anything from it, not even 1 penny, except according to as specified by Islamic law. Anyone taking with that, he's cared, Allah cares him, a prophet will care him. That's in a second hadith, but the first one mentions 6. One of it is the one who take liberty in my itra, in my family, in a such way which Allah has not permitted, like killing them, pursuing them, like Bani Umayyah did. And so that's what is a hadith. So the word sunnah has various meanings. You have to look to the context. But if he's taking about haram and wajib and so on, it's most likely he means nafila, something which is not obligatory. Usually extra prayer, extra, like for example, the fasting, the so-called white days, the 13, 14, and 15 of the month. White because the full moon, it's a full moon time. Because that was the fasting of Ibrahim. He fasted 13, 14, 15. That's all Ibrahim was doing. The white day, this is sunnah from Ibrahim and sunnah of Muhammad. That's sunnah, meaning it's not fard, but it's desirable and being acted upon. Or fasting Tuesday, Monday, and Thursday. That's from ancient time also. It seems to be Bani Israel had that also. It's also sunnah, etc. So that's. I would not want to. What the brother is really a very beginning. He should first study that and go back and forth, and then these basic things should be clear there. Yeah, should become clear. It doesn't mean that he should not ask, but he should have started long ago about these things. Okay, the next question.
Okay, next question. Wait a second. Okay, on this topic of allying with kuffar, are all these regimes pretty much similar, some worse than others, but similar in the sense that we have Gulf nations allying with America, Israel to harm Muslims in Palestine, Iraq, etc., and Iran allying with Russia to harm Muslims in Syria, Pakistan allying with America, killing Muslims in Afghanistan. Basically, do all these regimes belong?
We have to. No. That's not. It's not like that. Let us see one by one. It it is in the case of Syria, for example, this is Russia. That's not different Iran or their action in Syria is a criminal act. But there, they were fooled by Bashar that he's defending the Shiism and things like that. They sucked in by sectarian point of view. And whether sucked or not, they entered there. Instead of being in the side of the people, or the oppressed people, they were stuck with the side of the tyrant. That's a blatant mistake and violation of their own constitution, Article number 4. Okay. There, the Russian came in to help Bashar and to help them. So there's not allying with the Russians. The Russians are allied with them. So there's no alliance. There's something else. That's number one. Pakistan, where is that with Afghanistan? Allying with whom? Where it has happened? How it looks like?
America, when they
the American attack and the Pakistanis supported them and fought with them with the American. Now, in the recent attacks,
no, before.
When before?
When
Parvez Musharraf?
Yeah,
that's an act of kufr. Yeah, that's it. You have to be precise. This is not play a game. No, you have to be very precise in that. Otherwise, you don't understand what the alliance with the kuffar means. Alliance with the kuffar is that a kuffar is having their own banner and their agenda, and you enter under their banner against Muslims. That's where the red card has to be pulled out and declared to be an act of kufr. That's alliance. And there are other sub-categories like taking the citizenship of another country, a kufr country, but there are exceptions in the case you are living there and you have to be a citizen and have a covenant of security. That's also is exempted by the ayah. This is the only exception. Meaning you don't even carry their citizenship and be formally constitutionalized under their banner, except if you have to protect yourself because you are living there and you have no other banner to be under. Then you are allowed, provided you don't step over the red line. You don't, even if you are a citizen of Britain, for example, you have a covenant of security. What does it mean? I mean, I don't kill you, you don't kill me. I don't fight you, you don't fight me. I don't steal from you, you don't steal from me. But if you fight against Muslim elsewhere, I will not join you. I will abstain. I will be here. So there's some fine points of alliance. But generally, when we're talking about countries and entities, I'm talking these are single Muslims who have to use taqat. إِلَّا أَن تَتَقُوا مِنْهُ تُقَاتٍ. And even that, you have the extreme reality. وَيَحَذِّرُكُمُ اللَّهُ نَفْسُهُ. Allah warn yourself about his punishment. So watch for the red lines. Yeah. So what this guy who was killed in Afghanistan joining the British Army claimed because I'm English citizen, this guy may be an ignorant. He's accused by ignorance, but his act is an act of kufr. Is he excused or not? We leave that to Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is not our business. Obviously, that act is not permissible. It's actually an act of kufr. The one who did it is a kafir, depending upon if he's had no excuse, he's ignorant, and so on. That's the reason I'm saying, precise what is kufr, what act is an act of kufr, and the one who doing it may be kafir, maybe not, that's not relevant. Yeah, it's not relevant. The same with how to fight someone. He is using the sword, he's committing violence. Yeah, manifestly and clearly. Is he, by doing this violence himself, a kafir or fasiq? It's irrelevant. The fact is that fact which you can test in the real universe is he's putting the sword and fighting. He deserves to be fought against. What's his in heart? What's his motivation? What's his excuses? Leave that to Yawm al-Qiyamah. Will he avoid the hellfire? Who told you to discuss this issue? The hellfire keys are not in my hand or your hand. This is in the hand of Allah. But his act is act of kufr. And in the battlefield, you kill him. Yeah? Is that clear? Because he's a warrior. He deserves being killed. And he initiated aggression. So he can be returned back by aggression. You don't discuss the issue. Is he now a kafir or a fasiq or what's it? That's irrelevant. And even discussing that will undermine the Sharia, endanger the Sharia, and get you in the devil's kitchen. It's a tool of the devil to play a game with your mind. Is he a kafir? Are you sure what's in his heart? Devil, get away. I don't care what's in his heart. He did an act which is the act of aggression, which I have the right to rebut it by the sword. That's what guilt. That's what I'm accounted Yawm al-Qiyamah. The rest of his situation, what's in his heart? Allah is capable more than me and you to judge and have the keys for that. Don't worry about that. Leave that to Allah. And that's what Madkhali and so do about the ruler. He's ruling by kufr, but he's under duress and so on. He's ruling by kufr. The ruling by kufr must be changed. The issues of reason and cause and so on come much later. It may be an issue of discussion in certain situations, but that ruling of kufr must be changed. must be changed. Cannot be tolerated. That's the point. That's where the mistake of the jihadi come, that they have first to verify that this is a kufr. This expression is a kafir. There's a reason they say about called apostate government. This expression is wrong by itself. I don't care if they're apostate or not. Is that ruling with not Allah has revealed? For example, giving permission to usury banking. While the obligation of any Islamic entity is to prevent usury and punish usurer. Punish usurer. Why? Because you dealing with usury is an act of war, as according to the Quran. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ. Allah declare you war, and His messenger will fight you, will kill you if you do it. So they neglected that to do. That's an act of kufr on their side. Maybe they have excuses. Maybe they're ignorant. That's to be discussed later. So we tell them that permission of usury banking must be cancelled. They say, no, it's not usury. Okay, let us sit scholarly and have some people discussing that on Sharia ground. Get your scholars, we get our scholars. They say, we're under duress. We must do that. Or show us the duress. There are forces there in the sea. There are aircraft carriers threatening to attack us. Okay, then let us go together, fight them and get them away. But the usury banking must be abolished. In this stage, under duress, really they're about to bomb your country, fine. Then our job will be, we with you, to fight those. Clear? And so on. So that's the issue with that. So alliance is very, very dangerous if it's not defined properly, and just we lose question. Now, what's the question now? What's the question now?
Next one, okay, let's see.
He says I rebutted midway because he mentioned examples which are not aligned, something else. But anyway, what is the question? Read it again.
Oh, sorry, the original one. Yeah, give me a second. So the full question again is, oh, sorry, I'll move to the next one. Bear with me a second. So, for example, he mentions, so full is similar in the sense we have Gulf nations allying with America, Israel to harm Muslims in Palestine, Iran allying with Russia.
I said that's not correct, but anyway, let's.
Basically, all these regimes belong in the same group of allying with the kuffar. So
yeah, if it's alliance, I just explained. If it's alliance, yeah, they are, and the regime and the one who doing the alliance are committing an act of kufr, and then it has to be treated appropriately according to the situation. The minimum is that you declare this an act of kufr. It's not acceptable. Maybe you cannot more than that. You have to say it verbally. Maybe you cannot say it verbally. You must conclude that and be confirmed in your heart and teach it to your children. That's happening, but we cannot open our mouth. We are shut up with the sword. Next generation, you will take the banner and you will do something maybe. Or maybe you are very well capable of guiding rebellion against them. Then do it, etc. That's how to act upon it, depending upon the capabilities, istita'a, etc. But they are all the same level in that sense. And the act is classified as a require. The question, what to do with it? Now, the issue, how to deal with munkar, how to change regimes, and so on, will come. And this is not an easy issue. It's a complex issue. But the first stage must be first established. Like I mentioned, the case of usury banking. The license of a usury bank there. Stop. You must abolish that. Actually, they should be punished rather than given a license. No, it's not usury. Many will tell you, no, it's actually, there's an issue of multiple riba, etc. Okay. We say, no, this is not an issue. With certitude, you can prove that is usury. Let's sit and do it scholarly. The ruler could say, no, I have my fatwa, I don't trust you, I'm not going to settle with you. No, we don't accept your fatwa. You have to go to arbitration. I'm disputing with you. What does the Quran says? If you dispute between yourself, then refer to Allah's messenger. If you are referring to your own fatwa, that's not enough. We have to refer to an independent judiciary or an arbitration committee and discuss Sharia issue there. It's not at liberty. If he's a refusal, you are refusing to refer to Allah's messenger, then the sword must be pulled and you must be fought because they're refusing to refer to Allah's messenger. That's another additional act of kufr. And so step by step, one by one. That's how to change it. But the initial statement must be made. And then they may dispute. We settle the dispute. Or yeah, we agree it's real usury, but Look at the aircraft carrier there, threatening us with bombing unless we give this license. Then we have another situation now. If it is true, then we have to rally the people. You with us, we have to fight these guys. Why are not fighting them and calling us, informing us about that, and starting rallying us and training and arming and doing the necessary? Why you are covering it up? Maybe you want to save your throne. You are not there in the place to save your throne. You have no throne. You are supposed to be our representative, and so on. That's the way discussion will develop one by one in real world. But the issue of that these user debunking must be closed, must be stated and insisted upon. Is the example clear? Any question about the example? Maybe the brother or the sister who wrote that will come with counter questions. Okay. But I think it's clarified enough now.
Yeah. Okay.
The same with alliance, the same with everything. Parvez Musharraf could say, the American threatened to bomb me. That's not an excuse. They may have threatened, either you are us or against us. You could tell them, listen, I can't be with you, or this is a democratic country here. You claim to be a democratic. I have to check with the parliament, and even the so weighty, I have to do a popular vote. The issue would have been diffused right away. They wouldn't have done anything. But obviously, Parvez Musharraf does not care about Islam. The reality is that a man is maybe Qadiani or a Hindu or circumcised Hindu, as Rush uses describe this type of people, whatever it is. Clearly, he regardless of that's a great opportunity. We can get money. America will be victorious. We will be under their banner, and we will be gaining something. That's clear alliance. And this way, he committed an act of kufr. Has he excused? Not that's irrelevant. That's for Yawm al-Qiyamah, but definitely an act of kufr. And it's a catastrophic blunder, and it backfired against Pakistan ultimately. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Somebody's got a question about books. Fire away, bruv. If you're allowed to unmute.
So brothers should go and read the book about Muwala and Mu'ada. Again and again, before asking such question, inform yourself what's really Muwala, what's really hostility, what's the reason for hostility, when is bloodshed permissible, who is not. Before going into such a grand question, which is not very well developed and specified. The same when people say, okay, the one who rebelled against Gaddafi allied with the kuffar, because the kuffar came and gave them support. They didn't ask for the kuffar to come. At that time, France thought they can come in and do something, pretending that they're helping the rebellion or the revolution or something like that. But nobody asked them to come. They came by themselves. They come and bomb to Gaddafi. Okay, they are welcome to do whatever they want. I didn't ask them for that, nor ask them to do that for me. So I'm not aligned with them. Someone say, but they helped you. They have their own agenda. I didn't welcome them, nor I cooperate with them. If I cooperate with them later, knowing that their agenda and they support their agenda, then I will be an ally. Yes, that's something else. But you have to show that in the real universe that the one against Gaddafi were doing that. They not were doing that in their majority. Some of them may be doing that. Some of them may be aligned with the kuffar. They're munafiq kafir. Some, not all. Has to be scrutinized. This group, this group, that. And then the other British and American came rushing so that the field is not left to France alone, so they can participate in whatever booty will come in the future. They didn't invite them; they invited themselves. Yeah.
Okay,
if a situation may be accidental, be welcome. Who cares? I didn't invite them. I didn't ally with them. They came for their own agenda. I know their agenda. I benefited from some aspects of that. But if I am alert enough that at the end I have to tell them, listen, guys, thank you very much. Get lost. They may fight me and that things may develop in a sour way, but this is the way to go. Have to be decided in the due course in the due time. Obviously, in Libya, the general public and the groups are not mature enough to manage their affairs as should be according to Sharia. And they would disorganize. The people were never organized by Gaddafi sufficiently well to take their affairs in on. Until now, they are unable to overcome this mixed match because most groups there and organizations are not really, have not educated themselves about Islam properly. And they are now in a state of confusion. One says something, another says something, and nobody is willing to sit and do the hard work and study and know what's going on and refer originally to what Sharia is. Few are willing, but unfortunately, they are not the one who have the leadership and can enforce themselves. So it's a messy situation, but it's not issue of Allah. It's what to do now with the situation, how to guide the people in the correct way now. This is a much more complex issue. Okay, next question.
Okay, somebody had a question on mic. Do you want to unmute? Do you want to ask? Hello, brother. I had a question about what books to learn.
Oh, yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
About what?
So, okay. So I was asking, like, because I'm a Shi'i, but I'm seriously interested in learning about Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And by heart, I'm interested in that, not just to know Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah and refute them, but just want to maybe join this thing, you know. So what books would you recommend to study as a
without self-praise, I think you start with all books. Start with a book of Tawheed and see what there. And if you, the issue of Shi'ism and how is emerged, I think the book, the Saqifa is a good start. And then you can build from there, come with counter arguments, we can interact with that.
Yeah.
Starting point. I think that way we try to be as objective as possible. Besides, I prefer really, I would have loved that you say, instead of say I'm Shi'i, I am a Muslim with a Shi'i madhab. Or
actually, yeah, I wanted to say I am a Muslim, but because I wanted to set the expectation, that is why I said.
Nevertheless, we should get in the habit. I am a Muslim with a Shi'i madhab. And the other side, I would like to check the madhab of the Muslim who Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Or you think they are kafir, the kafir who call himself Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Then we have a good playing field we can start with.
No, I agree. Thanks.
That's a way. The starting point should be, our mentality should be thinking about why Allah Ta'ala at the end of Surah Al-Hajj said, ملة أبيكم إبراهيم هو الذي سماكم مسلمين من قبل. Why Allah said هو الذي سماكم مسلمين من قبل? That's the name Ibrahim chose for you and Allah specify you. Don't choose another name. وفي هذا يكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا تكونون شهداء على الناس. Either forsaking the name and adding things without a clear clarification. Why, like for example, say, you could say very well, I'm Muslim living in Iran. Okay, living in Iran, that's a special location. That does not indicate anything that you are making things special about you. Yeah. But when you refer to a madhab which regards itself that's the owner of the truth or all the truth or most of the truth, then there is a smell of you are giving the name of Ibrahim and the name of Muhammad salam, which he is supposed to be a witness and is supposed to be. So that's mean the way you present yourself is of importance. Although most people have forsaken that, unfortunately. And the first one to forsake that is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So-called Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. If you think deeper, in reality, the word Jama'ah, what does mean Jama'ah here? Those who have collapsed and give bay'ah to Muawiyah. This is staying until Yawm al-Qiyamah, until they abolish that name. That's the reason many people of Hadith knew that subconsciously, maybe not very analytically, and they could have said, no, we don't use Ahl Sunnah wal Hadith. They made the problem even worse.
Okay, no, not really aware of these things, so just
that start with. I think that the best start, because I think we try to be as neutral and trying to go to the qat'i of the Quran and the Hadith mutawatir, and this I think a safe way. And concerning the issue of the issues with the bay'ah of Abu Bakr and Umar and the issues about that and all these issues and stories, I think Saqifa should be a good start, and then we can build from there. I'm not saying it is complete or perfect, but it's a good start, and then we can interact later about that. You may find points there which worthy of expansion, say that's not expanded enough. Okay, really, we should have expanded more. It's becoming important. Or this is too short. Or maybe you have been misled by wrong narrations. Let us check it. What's counter narration and so on. We'll try that, all of this.
Also, just to clarify, the professor doesn't really fit within this, even from a conceptual point of view.
I'm trying to finish that. I'm trying to finish it completely.
Yeah, also, because, for example, the professor...
But it's very difficult, because it's now for 1400 years is going like that, like poison. And
so for example, the professor, he mixes with both Shia and Sunni, and he's found mistakes in both camps. So, for example, whether in the Shia camp, where there's insistence on infallibility of imams, it's not based on qati evidences. And the same side, on the Sunni side, whereby... all Sahaba are udul. The professor, that's not based on the qati evidence.
That's actually when we scrutinize it here and we bring a special research for that. As stated like that, it's a statement of kufr because it declared the Quran to be lying. They declare Muhammad to be not a messenger. It's even worse at that. But
Well,
we'll get to that in time.
I mean, there's what you might find quite helpful is the video side of things. We've been putting a lot of response videos for prominent people of Wahhabi persuasion or classical scholars as well. So, for example, we've got it'll be coming out soon, an Aqidah video where 3 Sunni scholars are discussing issues of Aqidah, where the professor comments on what is valid and what isn't valid.
Yeah.
So, for example, some things are taken into Aqidah.
Yeah, maybe you should accelerate this one. The brother will be benefiting from that.
No problem, sure. Yeah, I'm just need to finish off the editing, inshallah. So what you'll find is that's a good starting point. And also, so Kifam, you might find it a bit difficult to go through, but it does address a lot of the issues that the Shia bring as contention, because they like to bring. So, for example,
but it's not only Shia. Some also Sunni claims, which are blatantly wrong, are refuted there, completely annihilated. Also, yeah.
So, for example, the professor attacks Muawiyah a lot because he's determined that this is where the contention came, and the Shia are not being honest when they, for example, they attack Abu Bakr and Umar rather than as opposed to Muawiyah. Muawiyah is the one with which is the point of contention here, and because for them Hassan is infallible, they can't attack him because Hassan
and he surrendered Khilafah to him. That's a problem. And I'm insisting that the surrender of Hassan Khilafah is a major blunder in Islamic history. Whatever you do, turn it around. The maximum you can say, he has good intention. Okay, well, not a good intention, but it's a catastrophic act. So that's the reason all the anguish and the pain and the suffering which came after that was loaded against Muawiyah, keep a little bit still, but attack Abu Bakr and Umar because they are far away. You can. And part of that is initiated by Muawiyah himself. He made it so trickery so that all the anger is directed off into another direction. But it's also partly discussed in Saqifa. It's good to go through Saqifa, but this maybe Aqidah video is not a bad starting point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, basically, see, the madhab that I belong to as a Muslim, a part of the population of that madhab, because they went so far in cursing Hazrat Abu Bakr and Umar, and they went to extreme twist, even starting taking people away from the Quran, because in Quran the larger Muslim population call it Mushaf Osmani, right? So because they hate the name of Osman, so they started taking people away from Quran. They started instilling doubts in the minds of the people because they
and
said,
some Akhbaris claim the Quran has been mutilated and the real Quran is hidden somewhere by someone will come.
in a cave, and Imam Mahdi will come with the real Quran. And
if you look at these things, it's clearly so extreme that it undermines the
these are extreme.
itself.
And the reality is that the leadership, the current leadership may not say these things in public, but the lower strata, the working people who are working around,
the leadership does not have the courage to say that.
Yeah, but
except few. Except few. For example, someone reported me he was accidentally in the time of Sajjad, was the Imam of the Masjid of Tehran. And then he said in the khutbah, and this is actually what Umar did, and then say Abu Bakr, they said Umar specifically, radiyallahu anhu. Say the people next to me, right and left, to look into each other as if the calamity has hit from heaven, not believing that Rasul is saying that on the pulpit.
No, the reality is that the people have been misled to such extreme
levels. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. But how to get out of that? We have to be positive now. Instead of blaming the people, blaming the leadership, blame ourselves and start correcting ourselves. I think that's this approach.
Right.
We did not study. We did not do our homework correctly. We should do our homework. I have to do my homework and overcome many things through history, and you have to do your homework. And then we can talk about the people, leadership, and then you are guilty or this one guilty. Maybe you are guilty. How we can cooperate to get out of the guilt.
Correct.
This attitude, Allah will make opening which you never expected. Yeah?
Yeah.
And that we have to trust Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The moment you think, okay, there's something wrong here, let me humble myself and say to Allah, may Allah, I think I'm wrong here, but I am too short in scholarship. I don't have enough information. Guide me and open my eyes. That's what I advise some atheists, for example. I advised one English lady was attending a lecture, I think about 10, 15 years ago. And she was hesitating. She said, her brother is agnostic. What to do? I said, the best thing is to tell him, listen, because he does not deny that Allah exists, or that he doesn't able. What's about if he just address Allah saying, listen, God, if you exist, just help me go over the steps so that I can balance things to one side more than the other, and I will go from there. So it's very well, it's a reasonable way. And this Allah say, I doubt that you exist, but if you exist, be so kind to give me a hint in one direction. And see how miracles will happen in your heart. Allah will be saying, oh, this one is admitting that he has shortcomings, that he is confused and asking for help. I will not deny my help. Keep that in your mind, because if he, what people define as Allah, he will be with infinite power, infinite generosity. He will just give me this drop of wisdom. And then you go from there. But the first step is always, I may have a problem there. I need help. Oh, Allah help me. Then we say, no, we have already khalas. We see everything, everyone else is wrong. That's what they call, that's the devil. That's exactly what the devil is all about. Because the devil, when Allah asks him, ما منعك أن تسجد إذ أمرتك. Look at the formulation. ما منعك أن تسجد. What prevents you from making sujood as I have commanded you? Giving him a way out. He's offering him like Iran giving Trump a ramp out of his dilemma. Is أمرتك. Well, this what would have said, oh, I made a mistake, I misunderstood, I didn't hear properly. He would have been forgiven. What he said, the answer, the arrogant answer, أنا خير منه, meaning your command is unwise. You don't know how to command properly. That's the meaning of it. He did not say, I misunderstood the command, I understood it wrongly, I thought it's only for desirability, not obligation. I misunderstood it. All these arguments would have bailed him out. He shows the worst possible thing. أنا خير منه, I am better than him. Meaning your command to make sujood for him must be invalid. And this negates reason and annihilates everything. Because it's impossible for the created to doubt the creator, because if you have reason, his reason is superior to your reason anyway, by definition. And they give usually the example of someone passing on the tree and the monkey is in the branch, and the monkey tell him, take this bandsaw and cut the stem. And they tell him, listen, fellow, if I cut the stem, you'll fall and break your neck. No, I can't stay aloof on my own. It's not possible. It's negate reason. Because the branch cannot persist unless the stem is still there. It's impossible. It undermines reason. But this is arrogance. أنا خير منه. Okay. Anyway, we are going to philosophy now about the devil and what the satanic whisper is. It's good always to self-aggrandization, self-justification, and pride and hubris. The moment you leave that, teach yourself humility. Maybe I'm still mistaken despite all of these. Maybe even if I see a mathematical proof, did I do it correctly? Maybe the scholar who wrote it the first time made a mistake. Let me review it again. And if you review it again and again, like most mathematical terms, you will find most mathematical terms, almost except 1 or 2 or 3, have been reviewed thousands of times, and then you are convinced, okay, that's firm now. But some people reviewed 1 or 2 statements of major mathematicians and found the fault there and opened new branches of mathematics. So even mathematical proof, it looks like proof. And then you have to review it. Until you detect a certain point, which open a new branch of mathematics. I will not give an example because it's too complicated unless you have good background in mathematics. But one major mistake made by Lebesgue, famously a man of integration theory, because we have the Riemann integral and the extension to the Lebesgue integral. He made one small mistake, but that was detected by someone else, which opened a complete new branch of math. It did not affect the result, but his result for that theorem, but opened a new branch, enormous branch of mathematics, so-called analytical set theory, for example. So you have to review even if you do your own proof, you have to review it and put it to others to review it and criticize you. Even mathematical proofs, which we know the most solid way of making a proof you could imagine. Mathematical and logical proofs, formal proofs. But still there's a possibility because the one who did the proof and wrote it down is me and you, a failing human being. Maybe some mistake is there. The reason peer review, and other people checking it, double checking it, reviewing it, generation after generation. Okay, that's just general philosophy and general advice to myself first and to everyone else. Do that to yourself, then you are the safeguard. Then you are always the safeguard. Be always, I may be mistaken. I have to humble myself to Allah first, and then even to other human beings. I'm the great professor of mathematics declared by everyone, or the carrier of the Nobel Prize in physics. Maybe, yeah. But maybe this small guy who doing a PhD in Japan is more correct than myself at this point. If you don't get this humility, you miss so many chances, you will never believe an improvement and getting forward. Okay, next question. After the sermon, this is the sermon. Friday sermon.
Okay, this one you can choose to. Well, I'm only reading out what's been given, so it may be a bit poorly formulated. Okay, if a scholar who is close to a ruler, a scholar of the Sultan, gives a fatwa that people should love and obey a Muslim leader, a bad Muslim leader, such as the Khalifa, and give a fatwa to protect him, then that is a major sin, but not kufr, right? He's asking.
The question is irrelevant. Definitely it's a sin, because he's giving a fatwa. If the question is that, does he know with his heart that this is a bad Khalifa and giving that to support him, giving a wrong fatwa, knowing it's a wrong fatwa, this will be, then he is ruling with that what Allah has revealed. He's committing an act of kufr. Yeah, that's what it said. But the question, what's the benefit for you to know that? All of we say, if the fatwa is given, the man is giving fatwa, he knows in his heart this is the wrong fatwa, he's committing an act of kufr. That's all that you can say. But this is of little relevance. In practical terms, if he giving this fatwa, which is supportive for the ruler and helping him, and the ruler is oppressive and using the sword to oppress the people, then we may analyze, is he really part of the resisting group, which is proper application of Islamic law? Meaning, can we kill him? Do we regard him as a warrior? That need to be analyzed further. Yes. That's the two questions relevant for you in dunya. Any other question have little relevance. Think about it. Yeah. He may be giving the fatwa believing it's a correct fatwa. Then your job is to show, no, you are not wrong. You are wrong based on cause of this and this and this. Then you can ask him, respond to me with your evidences. Then it is becoming now a field of arguments. And again, I am disputing with you about that. Or if you have a dispute about anything, to whom we refer, Allah and His Messenger. Let's go there.
I mean, ultimately, so it's a practical point. So between him and Allah, he could be internally a kafir. We wouldn't know, but we're judging by the apparent.
And if you are dealing with a ruler who is worthy of being removed by the sword, all the avenues have been closed, the constitutional court, if this all disputes have been done, and now it's a matter of confrontation. Question: is this one belonging to the ruler camp? Let's use the old language for start, to the camp of the ruler, or to the rest of the ummah who are not in the camp? If he belongs to the ruler camp, then he can be killed and fought like anyone, like his soldier, like his spies. And in many situations, you can find that out. He's clearly in the camp of the ruler. Maybe he has the job of a mufti am or something like that. Then if you meet him in the battlefield, or you get an opportunity to kill him, assassinate him, in the case of its battle has been really started and engaged, then you are perfectly legitimate to do that. But after ascertaining everything, as I said, that's a practical question then. It's ascertained. The theoretical question, yeah, it can be settled philosophical. Yes, if he make the fatwa deliberately knowing it's a wrong fatwa, then exactly like the judge who make a ruling, knowing it's the wrong ruling, but pretending in front of the people, that's what Allah's Messenger has enacted. So he's ruling not with what Allah has revealed. He becomes kafir with this. I mean, the act is the act of kufr, and he's a kafir by that because he knows it. There's no excuse for that.
Just a slight variation of the question. What if someone gives a fatwa supporting emirs that have embassies and alliances with the USA and Israel against Muslims? Would that be the same category?
We discussed that. We discussed the embassy is another issue. Is it alliance or not alliances, or which fatwa? What is fatwa related to embassies?
Well, he hasn't given any details in this question.
No, he has to give the details.
Okay.
Such questions like that are wavering, because what is the meaning of having an embassy? What does it?
I mean, Israel being a warring entity with Muslims would have some kind of
an embassy is not necessarily an alliance, except in certain conditions. If it entails recognizing that they have a right to exist and they have the right to exterminate Muslims, that's obviously even worse than that. You are certifying their right to commit genocide against Muslims. and it's an act of kufr, no doubt about that. But maybe just a communication channel.
Okay,
the final no embassy. In time past, there were no embassies. There were messenger coming. It come from the most ardent enemy, and they were received by the Prophet ﷺ. Discuss with them and dispatch back safely. Now it has been developed that they have permanent embassies around. There's a question: should you allow permanent embassies? But it's become a convention. It's internationally well-established convention, as if that this is like a messenger who is permanently here and permanently communicating. Oh, fine. If that's the definition, then we have to specify what does it mean of being a messenger. Does it go into the alliance level? People have to analyze this a little bit deeper than the shallow things that they have an embassy for Israel by itself.
Okay, I've got some questions on this. I mean, there's some obvious ones here. Okay. One second. I'll finish the final part of this question. Now, this is quite leading. I think this question is quite leading. So he said, take an example of people like, and he mentions Adnan Rashid and Muslim Lantern. If someone receives money from leaders of these countries, the ones who have alliances, etc., for sponsorship, how is that judged in Islam?
It depends also why maybe they give him the money to have an Islamic platform to defend Islam generally, or they receive the money on the condition to do this and this and this. We have to analyze all that separately. Yeah. So
and if they do,
that question don't make any sense.
Also, if you do have anything where they are exposed to have this, just publicize it. That's probably the best thing.
Yeah, that's
if you have proof. If you have proof, so for example, I personally,
and you have proof that this statement is clearly in favor of the Emirates, and it would not have been given unless he received money from the Emirates. It may be very well possible he's believing the Emirates is right in certain aspects before that, and then later on the money came. It will be then a reward for that. There's another question to be there. And then, but publicize it, analyze it, tell him, bring your evidences. Don't try to escape from these issues by having summary judgment like that. Oh, khalas, he's receiving the Emirates, I don't need to discuss with him. You have to discuss with him point for point.
Yeah, this is also just
That's
also
the way to go.
Yeah, this is also the kind of pitfall that ISIS fell into.
Yeah.
So when the Muslims were united fighting against Bashar, and then you had people amongst them were Jaysh al-Hur, who would receive money from Qatar. They said, okay, Qatar is kafir. You've received this group has received money from them, therefore they're kafir. Therefore you're kafir for allying with them. So this
and then ultimately you look in the mirror and say yourself, you are a kafir to yourself.
Yeah. So
it doesn't
just as the extreme Sunni Wahhabis have done that, the Shia shouldn't fall into the same pitfall by looking. I mean, we have attacked people like who I personally have attacked Adnan repeatedly. But there's a line there which is not about takfir, it's about exposing.
You remember we have a video addressing Shahid Bolson and so on. And you the issue of relation with the Emirates, I should say. There are rumors that he was in prison and they brought him off and so on. I don't care about these rumors, but his behavior indicates that this rumor may be correct. If it is correct, then so and so on. If it is correct, then so and so on. It's correct, etc. I gave all the options. Check that video again. Give it to the brothers.
Yeah, actually, that's coming out tomorrow.
Teach yourself to be more analytical in these things because it gets to issues of kufr and iman, and more importantly, of war and peace, bloodshed or not bloodshed. Then you have to be at utmost scrutiny and sharpness.
Coincidentally, the Shahid Bolson video is actually coming out tomorrow.
Okay. I thought it's already out in time.
No, I'm doing it in bits and bobs. Otherwise, they have to be edited. So this one is called Shahid Bolson and the Axis of Subservience.
Okay.
So looking at so I'm going to go a little segue here, which is you have these prominent personalities that come from nowhere, and then they're supercharged and given a platform. They are articulate, but they have a clear agenda. So Shahid Bolson, for example, he says valid observations against the West, which isn't very difficult. You have people commenting against the West, even communists are commenting against the West.
He has good notes there.
But however, there's a subtext. There's a clear agenda behind it. You know what you need to do is just pick up a history book. If you picked up a history book, you'll know that these Arab rulers were put there by the West. It's undeniable. There's so many biographies about it. It's contemporary history. And then this same person who says the West is so bad, he is conspicuously silent on their tools. The tools are these Arab rulers.
unless he brings us his evidence. For example, he could say the following: yes, Abdulaziz is a British agent and implanted by the British. He's not a continuation of the old Saudi state, despite the old Saudi state being actually a Daesh style, but still within the frame of Islam, the widest possible Islam. He's an implant. Okay, but the one followed after him after 2-3 generations maybe try to liberate. Okay, bring your evidence. Show us from their behavior and their legislation and so on that they are really not anymore agents like their father. Huh? That's the point. It could happen. So he may have a point, but he has to justify it and structure it in the correct way.
One of the videos we did was when this Bolson said, okay, challenge you. What about MBS? We did a 3-hour video responding
and
to
his
that.
father, Salman. What's about and their relation with the, especially Salman relation, well established now from the, I think it is from the, what's the name of the guy who was imprisoned and prosecuted? The documents, the famous documents, which was here in Britain for 10 years in the embassy. What's the name?
Oh, WikiLeaks. Yeah.
WikiLeaks. From the WikiLeaks, we know that Salman bin Abdulaziz was time, even in earlier time in the 80s, he was just a governor of Riyadh. He established good relation with Netanyahu and he was sending money to support his elections. So how to interpret that? And he using this relation with Israel at least to get power inside the, even there are rumors that he was able with Israeli and associated wings in America, he was able to eliminate both Sultan and Naif, who are ahead of him in the chain of inheritance, and get rid of them. Maybe they died on their own. Everyone dies by Allah's design anyway. And then this way he became then in the queue. They may have played a role there because their death is a bit suspicious. Explain that. Is this a man, someone who is now trying to liberate from the West and playing 5D chess or not? We can analyze, we see it's not true. He's not playing 5D chess, according to my best point of view. And that's the best, that's how I deal with him until something comes forward and proves otherwise. Until now, he did not put anything on the table proving it's otherwise. That's the way with the political analysis will never be qat'i, because it's based on available information, and most of it's unfortunately secret. Since 500 years since Machiavelli, politics in the West and the rest of the world became, most of it is hidden behind closed doors. There's not a time before where really politics was transparent, more or less transparent. And you can detect what emperors and kings are really plotting, more or less. That's changed radically since the Enlightenment, unfortunately. Became even a complete new theory, discipline, diplomacy, principles of diplomacy, Westphalia Agreement. All of it has become now there's a problem really to how to deal with the state. The state has developed such an attitude that the state has the right to keep things hidden. Instead of general principle, everything must be public unless necessity dictates otherwise. Like, for example, military positions, bases, what is in the base or equipment and so on. That's necessity dictate that must be kept secret. Otherwise, all other things should be public. If you tell anyone that, he will look at you as if you're mentally crazy. It actually should be that my letters to the letters of the American president to Putin and his conversation on the telephone must be transcribed letter by letter and publicized to the public. And the other side should tell, listen, we are going to now in a transparency situation. The old diplomacy is dead, but who dares doing that nowadays? Everyone assumes this is natural. The maximum we can expect from the White House is to have a summary of the transcript. No, it should be even a constitution, but who will dare making this step to change the whole history of 500 years of state secrecy and so on? Where it doesn't tell them, the people will not believe that. That's the way it should be. And the way the Islamic State was structured. Nothing was hidden by Palestine except military movements. Only. Check his history. Everything was public. On the pulpit, in the masjid, everything. Everything. Except his privacy with his wife's cohabitation. And even sometimes he hints about things like that. It's another world of transparency. So we have to live with this world and to analyze accordingly. And that's the best what we can do. On the other side, claiming otherwise, bring your evidences. It doesn't seem to be like that, Mr. Shahid Bolton, that the Emirates is playing 5D chess. No.
They are 5D chess with the Israelis against the Ummah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all indication. Your behavior, their behavior in their participation in the genocide with the Zionist Jews against the Palestinians, etc. All of that does not leave us any other conclusion.
If you, Professor, if you'll permit me just to go on a little segue, because there's a series of questions that have come through, which are just kind of sound bites. So I'm going to address the speaker. The person's name is Peacekeeper 1989, and I'm going to put some context here. Just as the Sunni camp has got a very bitter attitude towards the Shia camp has a very bitter attitude towards the Sunnah as well. And part of that is as if every single Sunni Muslim, 1.6, 1.8 billion of us, are taken into a room and downloaded with a set of instructions to support the rulers. We aren't. As somebody from a Sunni background, we aren't given this. We're not given a GPS signal that says, right now, you're going to accept your rulers. If you pick up a history book, history books are not always that big. If you pick up a history book, you will be able to determine that the European powers occupied our lands and they appointed the most degenerate people above us, the scum above us. And the prisons are lined with scholars who used to speak the truth.
Yeah.
Prisoned for generations, tortured. Bashar, just one example, who used to torture. I met people who were imprisoned. I met one brother who's Ikhwan. He gave his son. His wife was expected when he was taken in. He never saw his son until he came out. So he was born. He gave him the name Majd, which is present, because he's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one person. My own wife's uncles. One of them was arrested just for being in the address book of an Ikhwani person. And the one who's actually Ikhwani, he got away. So the point is, this is what that we're talking about, this regime. So when you make a statement, Sunni Israelis versus Shia, make a distinction.
Yeah.
The Munafiq kafir rulers, who are foreign implants. They are alien invasion. They are not from us. They are the scum.
Exactly.
We accept that. We accept that. And we are all about that. So put that to the side. The Sunni are not responsible for their rulers. The ones who are responsible are the rulers and the government scholars.
And the government scholars, yeah. And some other intellectuals who are set out anyway. But intellectual is a general term including scholars, religious scholars, and also secular scholars, because they are also betrayal of their, because if you're a secular scholar, if you're, for example, a physicist, you are supposed to be appreciating Allah's favor on you to become a physicist, well-known physicist, to benefit your community and the people, not to be servant to the rulers against your ummah. But you are denying Allah's favor on you by this time. So it's not only that, but the religious scholars are worse, because religion is fundamental in matter of defining good and evil and morality. Physics is usually upside the road a little bit. Yeah, but that's it. That doesn't mean that you don't have intellectual scholars. Yeah, in physics is a little bit further away, but those social sciences and those studying diplomatic sciences and so on, they think, oh yeah, we apply models of West and so on, and they apply it so for the favor of the rulers.
That's right.
Instead of applying for the favor of the people who educated them, who pay your education. So your parents struggle to get you in the university. Are you paying them a favor back, or are you selling yourself to the rulers?
So so right now, for example, the UAE and the Saudi bots and intelligence are all over Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
Don't generalize and say that that's every Muslim.
Yeah.
Don't generalize that. Somebody in Egypt agrees with these people. There's an entire genre of jokes I can give you about the mukhabarat.
Yeah.
One example of here's a funny one. Bushra al-Assad was the daughter of Hafs al-Assad. There's a man who got into an accident with her in a car, and he took her details, didn't know who she was. And later on, he phones her and he says, "Who is this?" And she said, "Bushra." And he starts berating her. "How can you drive like this?" And he starts attacking her father. And she says to you, "Do you know who this is?" He said, "No." She said, "This is Bushra al-Assad." He said, "Do you know who this is?" She said, "No." Alhamdulillah, and he hangs up the phone. Point being, he'd be tortured to death. Sorry, I haven't presented the joke well, but basically the idea is that it's an entire society knew that these governments, a single word you say, goes against you.
Yeah.
To the extent that you have the only thing that could be taught in Syria at the time was Hafiz and Hadith. I knew of people they had to bribe the Mukhabarat so that they could teach Sharia. As in, go for a little while, and then they could teach Sharia. The only the only groups that could exist were women's group, Rubaisi and what's his name, Giftaro's group. That's it. No male. You couldn't. So this is not a. Sunnis have been oppressed more than you can believe.
Yeah.
The people who appropriate the mantle.
Now Iran in their propaganda, because they've sucked in there based on strategic consideration, not based in ideological consideration, they try to defend that by going in a never-ending cycle. Is against takfiri, is against things like that. It will not bail them out. The fundamental blunder going there in the side of Bashar cannot be forgiven and has to be settled, and they have to apologize for that and also pay blood money and so on. But it's down the road. Not now we're fighting the enemy of the Ummah. That's it. Let's say it in all frankness. That has to be done.
I can point to people who's been killed. I can.
No, we don't go into, if you go into details. What I'm saying will be volumes.
No, what I'm saying is, look. Yet I can still consider the biggest enemy is Israel. I can consider that Hezbollah were duped.
Yeah,
I consider that. But what happens is the people who are weaponized right now, like Adnan Rashid, selectively calling out Iran and not a single thing else. I can call that out too.
Yeah, exactly.
You should do the same as well. It's, for example, if my own family was wrong, I've got if I go down the road, I've got a crack house. A crack house, I don't have expectations from the crackhead who's out there, who's half out of his head. But my own children, I have a different relationship with, which is if they're wrong, I expect higher conduct from them when they step outside of this house.
Yeah.
Same yourself. If you just put the bridge to say that Sunnis do this, all Sunnis, they're one monolith. They're all one thing. They got one GPS coordinate. They get one broadcast IP address, MAC address, and that's it. That's all. They're one thing. You're doing a disservice.
That's
call out.
We know
call out the injustice, even
which
if
agenda are behind that, which regimes are behind that. That's it.
Yeah. So the point is, look, this is a neutral venue. We'll entertain discussion from atheists, Islamophobes, anyone, because we will only discuss things dispassionately, objectively, to get to the truth.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
we asked for the listener as well to appreciate that. Look, using weaponized terms and seeing things from this very binary point of view without accepting all variables, and then choosing a camp and then assuming that they're absolutely correct in everything they do, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing the Ummah a disservice. Okay, sorry, that was just a slight segue there.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about Tariq al-Imam. Tariq al-Iman, the book where you wanted to take proof of Allah.
I think that the chapter in Book of Tawheed is more than enough, inshallah. We'll see anyway. Don't get stuck with that. That's what I think is more than enough. So why you all want more? I think it's more than enough.
Well, the thing is, Sheikh, this is the thing. I'm just going to address the person who asked the question because they've asked the question several times. Look,
I know. But
okay, I'm going to put things.
We may separate that and inscribe it in a big volume, maybe.
Yeah, but let me just put things in context. The professor is technically blind. So what you're asking is, technically blind sheikh, who has very little time as it is, as the ummah is in a very precarious situation, the technically blind sheikh is well within his rights to prioritize what he thinks is most important. So what is more important, for example, issues around governance and all these kind of works that are happening.
We have enough. If he thinks that chapter is not enough, not persuasive enough, fine. Then he may come with suggestions, say, take that chapter out, put it in the first place. I'm thinking now to take that chapter 4, become chapter 1, or even separate a separate book and refer to it as a summary. These ideas ago, because we are reviewing the Book of Tawheed now, re-editing it completely. So it may come, but I say, for the brother, why asking about Tariq al-Iman as if it's a matter of life and death? Already the fundamental things are, I think, in the chapter 4, more than sufficient. I said certain details about Trinity and things that will be actually in the edited version now. We have finished Trinity already. I think so. It seems to be not necessary, but wait, inshallah. Yeah, maybe the chapter will become chapter number 1. Maybe it will be separated. We'll see. Maybe the name will be changed.
Also, there is a lot of other good material out there as well. I mean, just today, inshallah, they've got.
One of the motivations that I think I'll give you an example, because there was one of the Shabab, I think several halaqas before, I think it's in the Tawheed in the evening and Mondays, he said he had shown that to an atheist and he discussed and so on and came with a certain counter argument about the so-called straw man argument. This motivated me to go to back that, and now it's expanded the volume, the chapter 4 maybe have become double sized just to respond to that. That's positive things. Instead of asking, where's tariq al-iman? What you are lacking there, you want that. What point you are feeling that is not persuasive enough or not sufficient enough. That's the point. So we can progress forward on clear ground. What is the intellectual field is objecting, and show me this guy has a certain point of view which maybe have not been addressed in a sharp way in the book, in the chapter 4. So if we modify chapter 4 and sharpen it a little bit, it will answer this question, which is great. Maybe this will answer every question possible. That will be more than enough. It will be طريق الإيمان, just becoming a chapter in the book of Tawheed, or separated in a book and so on. That's fine. Just the brothers have the right to ask, no doubt, but say, don't get stuck with it because it's not a matter of life and death, because you have a good portion, very solid one in chapter 4, and the other more detailed fine points is extra. It's not necessary for carrying da'wah. Maybe you think, okay, I want to do a PhD about ilm al-kalam. Okay, that's a PhD. We can discuss. You can contact me about that. Say, I want you to be like my sheikh or my doctor's father in the PhD. That's another issue, but not the issue of da'wah and carrying and hizb work and so on. That's what I mean. Matter of priorities and so on.
Also, just there's plenty of other people like Sapiens do a lot of good material in this area as well. Hamza Zortzis as well. Yeah. That's some excellent material. So there's plenty out there. Mohammed Hijab as well, and they're very good at debating. Yeah. Also, if anyone's in Slough, they've got Hamza Zortzis and Uthman Latif are coming down today, 6 p.m. At the Masjid Al Jannah, inshallah. So
but inshallah, you will be satisfied with the new edition, maybe separating in a book, maybe with a new. The title is in my mind is that instead of the chapter 4 was the Barahin al-Tawheed, it will be extended to Barahin al-Islam first, then maybe it will be the first chapter, so we rearranged a little bit, and then maybe an idea. It may be slimmed down as a summary and referring to a major separate book, which will be a substitute. These ideas are going in my mind. I see what is one is most effective for da'wah and for education, because we wanted the book of Tawheed to be like the main education for anyone who really want to be not for the common people who have started, they go in the farm and work or go in the factory, but the one who have spare time to carry da'wah and so enough for them to be firm and solid and carry da'wah with open eyes. If some of those want to be academically excellent in ilm al-kalam, that would be then a PhD and university would be extra, super extra. That's not really what a political party or a group working for re-establishing the power of the ummah and finishing those criminal rulers getting out of the way is required. So we have to balance all of these desires in the same place. Yeah.
And you never know, as the ideas, because these ideas, they don't end with our passing away. They can be carried on. Generations can benefit. That's why we're so keen to just get the stuff out.
Expand things and detail more and so on. Adding a cream on the top. But we are lacking seems to be even the basic bread in which you can survive. We need the basic bread. You can carry da'wah and see these rulers.
Also,
more addition, more nice foods will be added and so on.
Also, the other thing is some of the things, because the professor has built on qati, so issues like general permissibility of things and actions, these are things that they plant a seed which can change things for many generations to come. So if people adopt on these fundamental usuli points, other people can come into the field and make new discoveries. So, for example, this idea, this insistence on qati thabut, qati dalala, definite text, definite meaning, multiple chains of narrations. So there are works that have been produced which go through some of the professor's mechanisms that he uses, for example, in analyzing isnad. This technology, this skill set can be applied to many places long after we're gone and can lead to new discoveries. Like, for example, the professor mentions about what is the nature of deen. Man badala deenahu faqtuluhu. Of whoever changes deen. What's the meaning of deen? Deen here means
is this hadith reliable? Secondly, we find that the stories are not reliable. There's an issue there. And that even if you assume it is what I'm saying, Allah uttered, deen must be meaning something else, and badal deen is not read, something else. What something else is actually changing the allegiance, joining under the banner of the kuffar and things like that. And we hinted that in the book of Tawheed, even in the Dunya and Deen. I hinted that. I added that in the. I think it got incorporated in the English translation, but in the Arabic one it will be incorporated now. Yeah, I added that and gave it to the people who were translating. Add that in that place because it's important to have that hint at least.
So, and a Sunni point, for example, something of life and death has to be qati.
Yeah.
Rather than just something that is a maybe. And this goes both sides. So on the Shia side, they made an entire premise out of Imamiyah based off of a narration which has ambiguous meaning. Can mean exoneration of the Ahlul Bayt, and they've taken it to mean infallibility. So there's a mistake there. There's a mistake on the other side. All these things build on qati, and that's the building blocks from which you can have unity. You can have a common reference point, and also accept, even as some kind of a pluralistic society whereby you'll have your differences still, but how to manage those differences.
Yeah.
So the state not being involved in enforcing a madhab.
Absolutely.
Only
that's
enforcing on those things which are absolute requirements.
What's meaning adoption for the state? What's the limitation of adoption? How binding it is, etc.
So rather than just saying, "Oh, Ahl al-Haqq, Ali wal-Aqd decided on this," and run rapshot over all the evidences, and then saying, "Okay, now it's set in stone. You have to obey these rulers." No, there are conditions behind rulership. Rulership prerequisite, bayah, shura, and ruling by what Allah has revealed. Otherwise, that's it. Get out. That's not you're a usurper. And then we have the hadith about the Tawatur hadith, which talks about Imatul Quraysh and how you can exterminate them if they violate the principles. All of these things built on absolute certainty. This is what's being seeded out there. And inshallah, after we finish Tawheed, I want to put in we'll probably go through Imatul Quraysh, because that work
we'll get to that.
Covers,
we'll get to all of it will be done, inshallah, probably.
Inshallah. Also, just another. So the person also asked, is hosting bases and allowing use of airspace, what's he say? An alliance. You know, if these scumbag rulers, when they have American air defense and bases in Muslim lands, is that considered an alliance?
Naturally, because the question, what is the base doing there? And which banner is the valid there and the supreme banner? The American base is the American control. And the basis there is to execute and protect. They may have the second job to protect the current regime. Maybe that's part of the agreement. But obviously, this recent war have shown clearly that they can wage war and whatever. Before that, even they were the B-52s and other planes were starting from Al-Udaid, flying to Afghanistan and bombing it. Is that the agenda of Qatar? Is Qatar interested in bombing Afghanistan? No. So the base is doing that. The base is acting or executing American politics. And you, as a Qatar, as a state, as an entity, you are under their banner, participating with that by giving the permission and allowing the airspace. They may say, we do that to protect our own domain. Fine, but this is you allying with them, that you can protect your domain as much as you like, but this does not take you out of the kufr. Because you are not allowed to protect your domain by allying with the kufr. That's not permissible. The Quran says clearly, the Munafiqeen, one of them, which ended them in the hellfire, they said, we are afraid that we will be attacked and we lose the battle. And the Quran says, no, that's not an excuse, it's not acceptable. You're still committing an act of kufr. And you will regret what you have thinking. So, it's an alliance. That's different than someone is under your banner and have bases, but it will not be bases, it will be forces under your command. Invited forces under your command. It will not be a base. Like, for example, now, the latest news is that some Air Force units of Pakistan and units have come, and they are in Saudi Arabia, according to the strategic agreement. They don't have a base called Pakistani base with a Pakistani banner there. They are working as under the control, allegedly, of Saudi Arabia and sitting in Saudi bases. That's okay. That's no problem. Even if it's not Pakistan, if it's China. That's different. That will be foreign forces. You have invited them to work with you. You pay them money for that, or bribing them, or giving economic incentives. But they're there to fight under your banner, your own agenda. The forces inside Saudi Arabia, helping Saudi Arabia, allegedly, the Pakistani one, are not there to start suddenly attack India. They will not do that. If they want to attack India, they attack it from Pakistani domain. So it is not a Pakistani base. It's a Saudi base having Pakistani as helper or as mercenaries. Call them whatever you want. Nice, not nice. Ugly, not ugly. Stupid, not stupid. We can discuss that. Is it a useful tool? Maybe, but it's not allegiance. It has nothing to do with allying with the kuffar or allying with Muslims even. It's just taking someone to help you under your banner by paying them money or giving them strategic benefits and so on. That's perfectly fine. Sometimes it's despicable because obviously they invited these so that they may be able to defend themselves or attack Iran with that. But that's very despicable because you should not have been attacking Iran in the first place. And you should not have been unless Iran attacks you. Iran never attacks you. You start the attack from day one after the revolution. That's clear. Iran never attacked any one of those. So that's the haram. Is it kufr? Not necessary. But big haram could border on kufr in certain situation. But it has nothing with the alliance with the kuffar or alliance with someone against because still they are under your banner. Essentially, the Pakistani are working as a mercenary, essentially, with the Saudis, which is perfectly fine. You can have mercenary. It's not good. You should be aloof above that, but you cannot require people to be all the most noble, like the Messenger of Allah refused mushrikeen to participate under his banner. He said, I don't take the help of mushrikeen against mushrikeen. Go back. I don't need you. That's the way it should be. But that's the Messenger of Allah. It's the high ground he adopted. You can say, I need really help. I pay them money. I will give them some of the booty as a sweetener. But it's my fight. It's my agenda. And they are helping me. That's how they do. Because Muwala is helping the Kafir against Muslim, not taking the help of someone for your agenda, which will be essentially a mercenary for you. Okay? Is that clear? So that's it. So we have to be analytical on these things because these things are of extreme importance because it relates to not only Iman al-Kufr, it relates to bloodshed and so on.
Okay, got a question related to hadith in Abu Dawood. Sorry, Nisai. Okay, wait a second. Okay, so this is chapter 35. Sorry, just increase the font. 1 second. Wait me a second. So chapter kinds of perfume that are disliked, makruh for women. Bab yakrahu lin-nisa min al-tayyib min al-tayyib. And that is, so I'll read out the chain. أخبرنا إسماعيل بن مسعود قال حدثنا خالد قال حدثنا ثابت وهو ابن عمر أمارة أن أنيم بن قيس عن الأشعري قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أيما امرأة استطعرت فمرت على قوم ليجدوا من ريحها فهي زانية. The Messenger of Allah said, any woman who puts on perfume, then passes by people so that they can smell her fragrance, then she is an adulteress. And that's narrated by Al-Ashari.
Well, this is about it. Just ignore it. And there's a discussion about that in detail, who is mursal or not mursal and so on. That's about it.
Okay, and based on, is it based on tadlis, based on what?
Many things, and comparing with the other hadith is a complex issue. Take it from me now and trust. It's batil.
Okay. Do you have any written work on it, or is it just is it written work anywhere, or is it just in?
It is written but not publicized because we are not get dug down with small issues like that. But I'm collecting them under general title about cosmetics, about perfume and things like that. Most of these are fabricated, or a mursal, a point of view of Sahabi, and he lifted it up. But this word with especially Zania is definitely despicable. I'll show you, but the moment you read it, you know that's it. That's invalid.
Okay.
But there are plenty of things in this direction. I want to go details of that, but that's it. Take it from me on trust until we publicize that.
No problem. And it's the fact is it only in Nisai, which is another indicator? Just only one chain seems a bit for something.
It's a chain and other issues there, which I don't want to indulge. It's very, very lengthy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but
the well established is the hadith of Abu Hurairah. Any woman which has a bakhur or ma'atab should not be attending with us Salat al-Isha al-Akhirah, the last Isha, al-Isha, not al-Maghrib. Because some people call Maghrib al-Isha al-Ula, only al-Isha al-Akhirah. Clearly, is in this case, for this one. That only. And the reason for that, we don't know, but most likely the hikmah is that much because Isha al-Akhirah is the people are ready for going to sleep and so on, and they will be obviously sitting with their wives that have sexuality. So bakhur and so on is like inviting for that. The masjid should not be turning in a place where women compete about perfume. That's it. Most likely the reason, but it's not necessarily in the hadith. But it's specific at Isha al-Akhirah. And also the hadith of Abu Hurairah, he saw a woman which was going to with perfume screaming to the heaven and say, Amat al-Jabbar, you're a slave or Jabbar. Where are you going? She said, going to the masjid. Say, if you are going to the masjid, then say Allah said this and this, go and wash this perfume. Otherwise, I have nothing to do. I have no grudges against that. So if she's going to the market, perfectly fine, no problem. That's implicitly in the Abu Hurairah. Obviously, this is Abu Hurairah's point of view. But to the masjid, no. So it is specific for masjid. So we have in two different hadith specifying the issue related to the masjid only. Now we come to this hadith, they passed any people to find her smell she's zania. It's clearly something wrong is there. And only one channel of narration. And they give you just a hint. It's from Al-Ash'ari. Don't discuss Abu Musa Al-Ash'ari and the issues about him. Okay? The issues of Tahkim and Muawiyah and his relation to Muawiyah. We don't know to open this kind of worm. But when we discuss that, inshallah, we will open the kind of worm. And the other hadith also was clearly smells problematic. Either from him or the people following him. So we don't want to open that kind of worm. But for the classics, if it's end with so-called Sahabi, khalas, they lift the white flag. No, we don't lift the white flag. This man specifically is under scrutiny now. We finish with Muawiyah and few others. They're bent out. They're exposed. And we have some of their lies proven with certitude. Some work is being finished now about that. So leave that. No, take it on trust. This is nothing. That's nothing. The only sahih is maybe the issue with the Salat al-Isha al-Akhirah or going to the masjid with her. So masjid should be a place where it's not a competition about perfume but nice dress. It's a place for salah and ibadah and consultation and so on, not for competing about beauty and what they call it, catwalk and things like that. It's not that place for that. That's elsewhere, not in the masjid. That's the only thing which is established with reasonable isnad from Messenger of Allah alayhi wasallam. Only, nothing else. Okay?
Yeah.
Good?
The next question. So somebody's asked about, are you familiar with that Qari, what's his name? Mishari Rashid al-Afasi, who said about... Yeah.
Not really much familiar. What's wrong with him? What's important?
So he said recently, he said Trump, let me bring up the original. So he said in a tweet about Trump will open the gates of hell on Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And so was it Al-Bayt Al-Abyad? No, I think that's just the channel, whatever. Oh, he goes, Rais Trump سنفتح الأبواب الجحيم على Iran.
Okay. What did he comment?
And he says, if someone says something like that, is this kufr, considering that his country has? It's just, I don't know. It's just.
What is his comment? He mentions they tweeted that Trump or he commented on it. What did he say?
To be honest with you, this is not a properly formed question.
So this is not a properly formed question.
I thought you might be familiar with him.
Even familiar, who is an irrelevant person until you have making him relevant. What did he say? Did he say anything?
He was made an excuse. So he said that. So he's tried to caveat it. So the issue with Iran is not merely a religious dispute, as some promote, but rather it's an aggressive state claiming to defend Jerusalem while it aggressives against.
That's his claim. That's his claim. That's what Al-Afasi is saying. The brother is asking, what's what you know about Al-Afasi? and he mentioned an example, a certain tweet. What did the guy say in the tweet, and what did the brother conclude from the tweet?
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to set a question like that. I know what he has in his belly, and I know what Al-Ifas is all about, but I will not answer the question this way.
Okay.
I know Al-Ifas is the government school of Saudi Arabia. He will blubber the Saudi point of view.
I thought he's Kuwaiti. I think Kuwaiti, was he?
No, he's Saudi.
Okay.
And I think recently maybe he have been appointed Imam of Haram or something like that, or Imam of Medina, something like that. Like the bunch, like slaves and so on. They are banned out anyway, but it's irrelevant. When he asks a question and give a certain tweet, what did the man comment about the tweet? Yeah, it's not a structured question. That's the reason I'm not giving a structured answer.
Okay, so it says
My background of the man is that he doesn't count very much. He's
Okay.
either an idiot or a government scholar, so it's irrelevant for us.
Okay. Well, I think, to be honest, I think you covered a lot of this anyway, in terms of
Yeah,
generally speaking.
We have,
I think
yeah.
the judgment.
I think the Shabab should
Okay.
should start really being capable of analyzing things much better than that, and read tweets carefully, read comments, do their analysis, and then bring a structured question so we can add more and improve on it. That's the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Anyone else got any questions? Anyone want to unmute?
But anyway, generally, we see the question today mostly about allegiance and only one about trivial issue like perfume and so. It's not a trivial because the wording of the hadith is very offensive, obviously. But these things like that, meaning compared to earlier when we're getting about how many rak'ahs and things like that, we are making good progress. We are advancing, alhamdulillah. The Shabab are not coming again with about combination of salat and so on. I think we settled these things. Although one Shab was getting all the hadith and writing something, and he contacted me several times to discuss things, and then he now almost 2 months he is not contacting. Anyway, hopefully he will contact again, and we issue a small paper, which is nicely organized. We'll see, inshallah. So somehow we have discussed publicly, put it in writing. That's it.
Next question, I think it's been covered in Kitab Tawheed, but I'll ask just if it can be answered quickly. We make it the last one. So you know the hadith about the slave should not say Rabbi or Rabbati to my lord, my lord, my lady.
Yeah.
So the hadith, the Prophet said, do not call it a hypocrite Sayyid. For if he's a Sayyid, he will displease your Lord Most High. So Hadathana Abdullah ibn Amr ibn.
What was the issue? What's the question about that?
What's your understanding of this hadith? Do not call a hypocrite.
As it says clearly, don't speak. If you know this man is a hypocrite, don't address him with the title Sayyid, because you can use the title Sayyid. Not Rabb. Rabb is reserved now for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this final religion. Because in Arabic we have Rabb and we have Sayyid, like in English, Lord and Master. So the translation for the second one is don't call a hypocrite. You know he's a hypocrite as master. Because if he's really a master, a leader of people, like Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, he's the master of his people. He almost was a king before Islam. Yeah. Then you are displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah does not like that hypocrites will be addressed as master, even if they are really actually master, leader of the population. And if they are not master, then you are lying. You are a sycophant. They are greasing him his back. So in either way, even if it's truly a master, because he may be a tribal chieftain, a tribal chieftain can be called master, no doubt about that. But because he's a hypocrite, you should not use this title for him. Good? The meaning is clear, like the daylight. What's the problem with the brother asking about that?
No, it's just probably clarification. But also, is it prohibition or just disliked?
We may discuss that. I don't say there's any qarina that it's haram or something like that. It's a strong advice. I would comply with it.
Okay, let's call it quits there then. We'll kick off the Palestine update.
The same with the slave. Don't use Rabbati, and it really has been phased in Islamic history. And also the master, the owner of a slave should not say Abdi wa Amati, say my boy and my girl. He should use these nicer words. But still using Abd and Ama persisted until today, unfortunately. It did not get extinct because the people could not get off that habit. But the habit of addressing the owner of the slave and with the word Rabb, it definitely got extinct. Nobody addressing anybody with Rabbi and Rabbati. It became really extinct. It's reserved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it succeeded in that direction. The other direction, it is less successful. Yeah.
Okay, then. In that case, we'll move on to Palestine updates. I'm going to stop the stream.
But this is issues of, let's say, what to call it, manners.